to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. I wanted to say play ball when she got through singing that. That's good. That's great, Rachel. Well done. Hey, a big thank you to our title sponsor every single year, Patriot Bank. If you're with the bank, thank you so much for all that you do for this community and all the different events and festivities. Also, we want to thank Pittman Glass Company as a sponsor, Judge John and Dr. Mary McCullough, Standard Electric Company, White Oak Farm, Henwood Trust, Howell Point Farms, Bonnie Briggs, Norma Owens, King of Clean Home Services, Hey Dad's Department Store, Senator Paul Rose, who's normally with us, but he's on a mission trip this week, Barrett and Delynn Matthews, Kennan and Molly Hampton, Mr. Tom Nichols, we're going to come back and talk more about that later today, Tim McCullough, our architect, Tripp and Barbara Jones, part of the board, Tipton Rosemark Academy, we thank you so much for allowing the use of the PAC today. It worked out tremendously with this crazy weather. TRA, wonderful. Mr. Terry Dunger, Community Baptist Church, First Presbyterian Church of Rosemark, Richland Associate Reformed Presbyterian Church, Ritter Communications, and also Hare Incorporated, and last but not least, Rosemark Pentecostal Church. Thank you for everybody in the community for giving and investing in what we call the Country Fair at Rosemark. Give everybody one more round of applause if you will. Everything we do in North Shelby County, our commissioner is always present. I tell people often, sometimes the best present is being present. And so Amber is always here. She's always active. She's looking for ways to support the community. She's fighting for funding, all those things. And I can't thank her enough. She's done it for the last 6 years continually. Would you welcome to the podium our commissioner, Commissioner Amber Mills.
Thank you, and it's so good to be here with you all today. This, honestly, between you and me, this is one of my favorite events that I get to attend in Shelby County. I love it every year, and I'm happy to be with you, and I commend the volunteers and the leadership of HARE for the fast work you did, making last-minute arrangements, but on a positive note, we're not sweating this year, so that's a plus, and it's turned out great, and I appreciate all you do, and more than anything, I enjoy, and I'm so humbled to serve you all in North Shelby County. And I look forward to singing with you and talking to you for the rest of the day while I'm here. Thank you.
Judge Valerie Smith, I know this is kind of your home turf area, and your brother went to Tipton Rosemark Academy, and you grew up about, what, 2 miles from here on Highway 14, Austin Peay? So wonderful. Thank you for always being here and being a part of what we do. Thank you so much. And to Mom and Dad, they're typically walking around grabbing food about this time, so many, many thanks. We have Sheriff Bonner with us, and then also Chief Deputy Buckner also is with us today, and these men really support the corridor of the north part of the county, and they supplement our efforts out here on a regular basis. And so I just want to publicly thank them, but also yield the mic to both of these gentlemen to give us a quick update or a quick hello from the Sheriff's Department.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I was a little nervous when we got started. I thought Carrie was going to ask me to sing the national anthem. Everybody always tell me, said, man, you must sing with that voice of yours, and I can't sing a tap. So you were spared that misery this morning. First of all, thank all of you for coming out today. I know the weather, well, like Commissioner Mills said, it really worked out because it's really nice out here today. But we at the Sheriff's Office want to thank each and every one of you for your support. Commissioner Mills especially, you may have seen me on the news the last few weeks fighting for money to fix the jail, and Commissioner Mills has helped us lead the charge, or she's led the charge from the county commission. We're still about $6.5 million short, but Commissioner Mills and I just had a conversation, so we have a plan to try to garner the rest of that money. But I certainly do want to publicly thank her for all she does. Congressman Kustoff, I've had a conversation with him. I'm looking at about $800 million to build a new jail. So I'm just saying, I was just amongst our friends, you know. But anyway, but I certainly appreciate, we can't do this hard work without the support of our legislators. And I tell you, citizens of North Shelby County, you have a bunch of great legislators that's always supported law enforcement, and I can't tell you, if you're a sheriff, how much I appreciate it. I'm going to yield the mic to my chief deputy. He's the number 2 guy, Anthony Buckner. He's the one that, when I don't feel like going and I don't feel like doing something, Chief, you got it. So, Chief, you got it.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Sheriff. If y'all can see, he's worked the hair off my head. That's how much work he has for me. And I want to publicly also thank Commissioner Mills for rolling up your sleeves and fighting for us at the Sheriff's Office. We greatly appreciate your support. And folks, I just want to let you know that I have 2 first-timers here today. So Crystal and Anderson, my fiance and my son, so y'all stand up for a second. Y'all give them a round of applause. They're first-timers. Thank you so much. This is one of my favorite events, like Commissioner Mills spoke of, and I just want to report real quickly that in unincorporated Shelby County, we are experiencing a 14% reduction in crime. So thank all of the deputies that we see out here, and thank you for partnering with us. And last but not least, all of these folks that you see out here wearing the sheriff's uniform, I think except for one, they are volunteers, and they love coming out here. When you pass by them, give them a hug. They really love hugs. Give them a hug. But thank you so much for the invite. I'll turn the mic back over. Thank you.
Our county historian, Mr. Jimmy Rout, is with us today. And, I think back when you had the display in the lobby of the county building years ago that pertained to Rosemark in this area. And I know you gave some great input and insight on what we call the preamble here, the book that we've made that really touches on North Shelby and South Tipton communities. And we appreciate your partnership in all these things. Come give us an update from the county.
Thank you. It's always good to be out here in Rosemark, to be with a great sheriff, by the way. Life has not been easy for our sheriff. I think we ought to give him another round of applause. And I believe he's term limited, so let's hope that this shiny head here will go a long way. And I'm so glad to meet your daughter, Crystal. It's so good to meet you. But we're glad to be here. And I did want to let you all know that this summer we did with your historian Bob Fleming and he has a very intense committee. His wife and body, they're very good, and we like good committees at the Historical Commission. We're putting up a marker. It'll be up by next fair for the Rosemark Tipton Academy, which talks about the history of the founding people for this community that came together because they had a need, and they fulfilled the need, and they built a school, and they built a church. And that's exactly, you all are a part of that building community here today. And you all coming out on this questionable day just shows the commitment in North Shelby County. And we were lucky to have people like Ed Haley and some others all in this area. So it runs deep. So tell all the youngsters and all you first-timers that you all need to come back and come back often. We'll be looking at some other markers for out here and doing some updates maybe on some that are here. But the county I am well aware of the history of this community and its early beginnings and how they contributed to the county in general and the city of Memphis. So thank you all for having me and have a great day.
Judge Williams, if you'll make your way up for the introduction of our keynote speaker. While she's making her way, let me say this. About 2 years ago, I jumped on a plane early one Monday morning about 6 o'clock, and I turned to my left, and in the other aisle was Congressman David Kustoff, and we were both heading towards D.C. And Congressman looked at me and said, well, I'm actually flying back to Memphis tonight because I've got to be in the district in the morning across the 20 counties touching our people, because I believe at that time there was some flooding that had been going on, and David was coming back to talk to those communities about the disaster and how he could help. And I thought, you're flying to D.C., you're flying back tonight, you're going to be around the district for the next 2 or 3 days, and then you're probably going back to D.C. He's the hardest working congressman in Washington. In my estimation, he's the hardest worker. And he represents all of us. I told him my math is a little bit off. I understand that. But with 20 counties, that's almost 1/3 of the state that he represents. And so just know this. He sits on the Ways and Means Committee, which is the oldest committee in Congress, and he swings a big stick for you. And so we're grateful that he's here. I'm grateful for his friendship. Judge, come and do the honors of introducing him. But while I'm up here at this mic, I'm going to take the liberty to give him this book about Rosemark and the surrounding communities, and then we will do a Q&A session next time he's here. Okay? All right. Thank you, Tom.
Introducing the keynote speaker is a little bit like trying to introduce you to the neighbor that's been living down the street for the last 30 years. So I'm not going to read his biography, you'll be pleased to know. But what I would ask you to do is think for a few minutes what a difference it would be in our community if he had not been a part of it. Like his daddy before him, he became a lawyer. He set up his practice with another young man who was in the same law school. Later on, that young man became the mayor of Memphis. Now, at some point, while they were practicing law, the bug not only bit his buddy, but it bit him too. And he decided that he wanted to have a part of the political situation. This led him to be the chairman of the Shelby Republican Party and to work at the grassroots level all over West Tennessee. He worked in several campaigns, worked his way up, and eventually was chairing the campaign for Governor Alexander when he was running for the U.S. Senate. As a lawyer, he was appointed the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee. That was in the period of time of the infamous Tennessee Waltz disaster. He presided and worked on those trials that sent 12 people, terrible people, to jail. So he took care of us in that way. Then he took his business degree and used that to help him while he was on the Board of Trustees of Bank Tennessee. Governor Haslam appointed him to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, and there he worked on scholarships for students to the community colleges and to Tennessee Reconnect, which connected adults with going back to school and finishing their degrees. In 2016, he was elected to the U.S. Congress, 8th Congressional District. And as Carrie said just a minute ago, he's on the House Ways and Means Committee. What does that mean for us? That committee deals with taxes, health care, trade, and family support. Throughout all of this work, he's remained true to his conservative principles all of his life. And it's a pleasure to present Congressman David Frank Pustock.
Thank you, Judge Williams. Thank you not only for that nice introduction, but all your work today and your committee's work putting today together. So we appreciate you. And Sheriff and Chief, you mentioned this a moment ago. You've got some really good deputies who are out here helping us today. Let's give them a hand and thank them for what they do today and every day. Thank you, Sheriff. Well, let me just say I came back from Washington Wednesday night. We prevented the government from shutting down. The government could have shut down on September the 30th. We don't need that, so the government continues to be funded through December the 20th. One thing that we did do, in addition to the normal government funding, we gave an additional $231 million to the United States Secret Service to protect the two candidates running for president. So they got an additional $231 million. One regret that I've got that we did not get done before we left on Wednesday night was pass the Farm Bill. So the Farm Bill, this is huge, and Carrie, you know this, we've talked about it before. The congressional district that I represent, the 8th Congressional District, it is the largest ag district in the state of Tennessee. We've got more family farms here in West Tennessee than any other part of the state. This Farm Bill, it's a huge, huge deal for our ag community. And it's a bill that we pass every 5 years. So the last Farm Bill that we passed that helps our farmers and growers and producers was passed in 2018. And then last year we passed a 1-year extension. Our farmers need to be able to compete with everybody, including China, who has an unfair advantage. So we're working hard on getting that Farm Bill done. And my hope is that we can get it completed before the end of the year, around Christmas time. Now, Carrie, the two main things that I hear about from people throughout West Tennessee are inflation and the economy, which I lump into one, and the border and immigration. If I can, just briefly on those two issues. Inflation got way too high over these last 4 years. You know that because you go to the grocery store like I do. You pay your MLG and W bill and your other bills. You know what it costs to fill up for gas. You know what it costs to buy a new car or a used car compared to just a few years ago. And in my opinion, the federal government pumped way too much money into the system over these last several years. And that meant that the cost of money and the cost of borrowing got higher than it's been in a long time, and your dollars went a lot shorter than they've been able to go over the prior years. Judge Williams mentioned this a moment ago. On the Ways and Means Committee, one thing that I've got jurisdiction over, if you will, are taxes. And so in 2017, we passed something called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Very simply what that did was we lowered your taxes. We condensed the tax brackets. We doubled the standard deduction so that most people could take the standard deduction when they file their taxes and not have to itemize. For small businesses, we gave something known as Section 199A, which doesn't mean much to anybody, but it gave small business a 20% deduction so that they could pay their employees more, frankly, hire more employees, invest more into their business. We doubled the standard deduction. One thing the state of Tennessee did a number of years ago was they eliminated the estate tax, the inheritance tax. I don't think at the federal level that any family should have to worry about paying taxes when their loved one passes away. But think about this for the family farm and for the small business. We took the estate tax exemption and we more than doubled it. So it was about $5 million in 2017 for a single person. It's more than $13 million today. If we don't do anything before the end of next year, Congress, just about all these provisions that I've talked to you about, they revert back to where they were in 2017. And to me, that would be a big hit for our economy. And we don't need that. I'm a believer that people should keep more of their hard-earned money in their pocket. So this is a 2025 issue that we're working on now. On the border. You know that the numbers of people who have crossed the border over the last several years, they have swelled and swelled and swelled. I will say this, and I think I speak for most people. We're a nation of immigrants, and we want people to come through and become citizens and work here the right way. There's a right way, there's a wrong way. Let me tell you this, I'm going to read from this because these statistics just came out yesterday. In the last year, this is from our Immigration and Custom Enforcement. They show that tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with criminal records have been released into the United States. Here's some of the numbers. In the last few years, 13,000 people with homicide convictions from a foreign nation are roaming around this country right now. And when I say roaming, without any restrictions. 15,811 people with sexual assault convictions from other nations are in this country right now without restriction. 14,300 with burglary convictions from other nations in our nation. And over 56,000 people from other nations have come across this border with drug convictions, and they're just here. And so this is a huge problem. It's two different ways of thinking. And so we've got to get a handle on the border. My opinion, our border control officials, our local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, they're doing the best job they can with the tools and the resources that they've got, but they need help from the executive branch. And so that's what I'm focused on over the next few months, and certainly after the election in November. Now, if I can, I think about what's happening in Russia and in Ukraine, a battle of, frankly, of good versus evil. I know and you know that the Iranians have an assassination target on former President Trump. And in Israel, they've been going through absolute heck since October the 7th, when 1,200 people were killed in one day, and many more are being held hostage right now, including some Americans. And so last night, the Israelis eliminated the leader of Hezbollah. That's a big victory. I think about all these issues, all these international issues going on in the world, and then we dial it back here. And Amber talked about it, and Sheriff Bonner talked about it. This Rosemark County Fair, this just feels like home. This is what people around the world, they envy. They envy us because we can do what we're doing here today. This is Americana. This is why people want to live in Rosemark and in North Shelby County and in West Tennessee, because it's a good place to have a business, to raise a family, and to educate their children. We are the envy of the entire world, and I realize it's my job to continue to fight for this way of life. So that's my pledge to you, and that's what I'm going to do each and every day. And so with that, this is nonpartisan, this is bipartisan. We have a very important election coming up. And I'm speaking to you all. Some of you are Republicans, some of you are Democrats, some of you are independents. There may be a few Whigs out there, I don't know. Everybody has an obligation and a duty to go vote. We've had too many of our forefathers and foremothers who have given their lives so that we can exercise this right to vote. In Tennessee and in Shelby County, we make it really, really, really easy to go vote. We've got an early voting period here in Shelby County with a lot of different locations. You've got election day. Just exercise your right and go vote. I'm going to say this here because we can still say this in this country. Carrie. May God bless you all, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much.
We were talking earlier, you know, every single one of us, we know 15 to 20 people that either
County
too
Fair in
lazy,
Rosemark.
too much apathy to go
Families
and
out
vote.
here, even Jeff.
Maybe they're disenchanted with politics.
I love
We
Tipton
understand that
County.
as well. Or maybe they're young.